I'm Allan Rutman, and my background is I am a CPA in Canada now, which is the old chartered accountant, which is likely the term still used in the UK. And beyond that, I'm as well a trustee in bankruptcy and a certified turnaround professional, which is a US-based designation as well. I'm also a certified estates practitioner as well. And finally, I have a master's in business administration, as well as a normal BCom type degree, as well as having a US law degree as well. Thank you. My role in the firm, I head up our insolvency turnaround practice. And in addition to that, I am the firm's chair of our management committee. Right, so Zeifmans is a full service accounting, consulting, and tax related firm, also engaged in mergers and acquisitions. We are a mid-sized firm by Canadian standards. We have approximately 165 professionals, and we are a sole office firm. We have the one location, which is in a suburb of, well, not in a suburb, but in the north end of Toronto. And we have been in business for approximately 60 years. We're very entrepreneurial faced, and all of our partners essentially have created their own business practice over a period of years. And we consider ourselves to be creative, as well as reactive to clients and on an as-need basis to fulfill their services. Our case involved a large-sized tier one automotive supplier to the OEM automotive marketplace, and they were suppliers to literally all of the OEMs based in North America, including General Motors, Chrysler at the time, and Ford. And in addition to that, there were also suppliers to other tier ones in the industry, such as Magna and several others as well. They were they had grown significantly in asset size, and as can be expected in a number of these types of circumstances, over-levered. And when the market started to turn on them, they were in essence had insufficient cash flow to meet the requirements of all of their facilities. Their facilities were approximately in excess of 25 plants located throughout Mexico, the US, and Canada. They had several in Europe as well. And they filed for Chapter 11 in the United States. A number of professional firms were involved in the US during this process, and a protocol was developed which provided funding from suppliers as well as from several key banks in the US, including at the time Chase Manhattan and JP Morgan, to continue operations as purchasers were sought for the business. Our particular role related to Canada, and just so you have a little bit of background here, although they filed for Chapter 11 in the US, they had not filed any proceedings at that point in time in Canada. And in addition to that, all of their operations, head office type functions, purchasing, accounting, finance were all based out of an office building in Southfield, Michigan. Clearly, that was going to be a problem should the US and Canada go their separate ways. And in fact, that's what happened. the Canadian operation had our firm appointed as Chief Restructuring Officer. And in that capacity, our job was to take the approximate 6, at the time, plants in Canada and to attempt to, through the Canadian equivalent of a Chapter 11, which is a CCAA, attempt a restructuring of the business. Our particular role was to look towards reduction in expenses, supplier relations, vendor relations, customer relations, as well as dealing with the unions, and there were several at the different plants. In that capacity, as you can well imagine, there were a number of crises that took place on a day-to-day basis. The monitors were E&Y, and we liaised with them in our capacity as Chief Restructuring Officer. During the course of the proceedings, which went on for about 2.5 years, we spent significant time in cross-border related issues, both in the United States, dealing with customers, suppliers, and as well the US-based operation, which was downsizing at that point in time, as well as Mexican-based plants, which were suppliers to the Canadian plants as well, as they supplied products to OEMs. During the course of the process, we were successful in reducing the overheads of these plants, streamlining their operations, literally creating a new office in Canada because the US office was downsizing, and at the same time preparing them to go on a standalone basis. Eventually, as a result of the process, we were successful in finding a purchaser of the business. It could not be restored to its prior ownership because they had, in fact, were no longer involved. The board had resigned, and the executives, all of the executives, had either found new positions or had been terminated. So as a result of that, we needed to find new executive talent, put them in place, and create a going concern business, which we were able to do over that 2.5-year period. And ultimately, a purchaser acquired them and are now still in business.